So we're in Die Gatjie now, which is where our champion Dylan Graham serves the community here. I'm going to confess that I'm not very au fait with what the scenario is here. But all I'm aware of is you come through that hole in those barbecues, and then there's a whole community living back here that Dylan has dragged into our network. So we'll give you a sense of what is happening here, and maybe Dylan can just give us some insight. So it's basically behind the reeds, and you've got an entrance coming up over there. It's very green, very overgrown, and then when you arrive it is the homes here, and it looks like it extends quite a bit in there. There's a big building in the background there. Let's just see if I can grab Dylan here. Dylan, hey.
Hi,
Okay,
Soli.
so just a little insight. So we've literally, all of us now come down the path here, and we discovered this. This is Laurie. Hi, Laurie. Shaz, you know. Hi, Shaz. That's Brent. Brent is new in the volunteer game. not in the volunteer game, just with us. Just with us. First day on the job. And Dylan, of course, our champion here.
Back once again.
Okay, so just to give people a little insight, you can continue walking. Or
Sure, yeah. Well, like you said, we are here at Die Gatjie in Diep River. As I mentioned last week, the biggest issue that these people are facing is lack of food, lack of resources, but definitely lack of food. It's, I'd say, essentially the forgotten people.
Okay.
No assistance whatsoever from any side of the fence.
Right.
So, problem has been identified, which obviously is the lack of food and lack of resources. And I think the important thing now, going forward, is to implement a solution.
Yeah.
Which essentially would be feeding.
Okay.
These people are in dire need of food.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, calls for help are not being answered from government, from anybody.
Yeah.
And it is not getting any easier. Day by day, week by week, the days that go past, the weeks that go past, it's just getting worse and worse. People they want to give up. They don't know who's going to help them. They don't know where the next meal's coming from. And the sad thing is that you've got the children and the elderly.
Yes,
who are
the
suffering.
most vulnerable groups.
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
It is the children and the elderly who are suffering the most. I mean, you can see there's plenty of children running around playing. There's a lot of elderly people.
Oh, hey! How did you?
You can't go anywhere without meeting one of you.
So basically, yeah, we're right here at dead center. And
oh, look at this, man.
that's right, yeah. They're trying to
Wow.
brighten up the area as a dream garden. There's some people growing veg. And unfortunately, it's just not enough to sustain the amount of people that are currently living here.
If you had to estimate, sir?
On any given day, minimum 170 adults, and at last count, 105 children. Not the smallest amount, by no means, but out of all those numbers, not a single food parcel coming this way, no aid, no assistance, nothing. And it is concerning. These children should not be going hungry. The adults should not be going hungry, and the elderly should not be going to bed hungry. They really shouldn't.
Hello.
Hello, sweetie. How are you doing?
Fine.
Good, good. Gorgeous. Okay, so here's the thing about that. And you know, it's just been like fretting at my head about this. And all this that we've been doing with the Soupathon. How are you, man? You good? Only if I can show the people, like a sexy so in Die Gatjie, so the thing is though that on some level, while the world argues about an appropriate response, while little groups and factions argue about what's the appropriate approach, all that it is. We're really the pressure we're posing on you here, as champion of this area, is exactly that.
Yeah.
To highlight what is wrong here, to engage with us. hey, to engage with us about how we can assist. And then when I say us, I mean the entire network of care. We've got Anwar Jakut, we have Azur Timor, we have Invisible Hands, we've got the Upcountry Feeding Hands, the International Red Cross Society, Amal Dakutis. We've got all of that. And in a way, I'm tempting you. I'm saying that's the pressure we put on the champions, to engage on all these levels, get connected with the other champions, and let's see what we can do for one another, because that's the concerted belief amongst us.
Precisely.
We can only do this if we all do this together. We
Like
all
we said,
stand
we've
together.
identified the problem. We now need to implement the solution going forward.
Yeah.
Not short term, not
Sustainable stuff.
there we go, long term.
Yeah.
We now have the solution. How are we going to implement this going forward?
Yeah.
That's the important thing. As you can see, kids everywhere, the elderly, they need our assistance. And
Yeah.
that's why hopefully we can make a difference.
Well, okay. Dylan Graham, champion. So that's the scenario here. We have come really to get a sense of the space here and the layout, the geography of the place. It's pretty much it's what's the guy in the entrance who we met now? Henry? Mike said that Jaken was the black man. I do. There is nothing here that doesn't seem familiar to me. What is horrifying about that is that, I was just 1969, 1970 something when I last lived in a place like this, with this kind of desperate lack of resources. That really is the big thing here. It's the desperate lack of resources. How are you doing? You're right. Sweet, man. Sweet. And so this is Dylan has been engaging with this community long before we've come here. His organization is Cope with Hope. And I want to just ask this one more thing.
Sure.
Am I mistaken in saying that Cope with Hope also looks at the mental strain that
That's
people
correct.
take, the kind of the ease on mental health, literally?
Yeah, there's a very big difference between just walking into a place like this, dropping off food and leaving.
Yeah.
It's the long-term effects.
Yeah.
It's the mental anguish, waking up every day with that same worry.
Yeah.
Where's the next meal going to come from? Where's the assistance going to come from? Where's the next helping hand going to come from?
Yeah.
And over time, it starts to take effect on the mind, not just anxiety, stress, eventually depression.
Yeah.
And you don't want young children resorting to crime, to drugs, to activities that are going to get them locked up.
And the bizarre thing is that that's currently all the only alternatives. This is the one that gets me where I live. We're asking children not to make those bad choices. Where's the other alternatives?
Exactly.
How are we asking them not to make those bad choices and we're not providing alternatives? That is just lies at everybody's door. I don't care who's running the country and who's running the street. That lies at everybody's door. We can say as much as we want, show some fortitude, put in some whatever. There's no resources. There's no resources.
And again, it's that preconceived notion that you come to an area like this and they automatically assume that people are on drugs. They automatically criminals.
Done with, written
They're not.
off.
They're
Yeah.
not.
Well, how do we write you off?
I
Yeah.
can go find you 5 people right now. They've got hopes, dreams, aspirations, not just for
Exactly.
themselves, for their kids, for their parents, even for themselves.
Yeah.
So that idea that society has that everyone here living here by choice or is a criminal, no, it's not the case. You sit down here, you spend some time talking to the kids, to the adults, to the elderly, everyone's got a story. And unfortunately that story at the moment is heading towards a sad end, which is why we are
They're all
here.
these tragedies, aren't they?
Precisely,
Yeah.
again, the forgotten people, yeah.
All right. Well, okay. That's to give you a taste of what's going on here. So let's ascertain how it works. So in terms of you and me and all of us, you have now seen this. Your heart is wide like the ocean because you're a human being and
Correct.
you were raised in a family and you were raised by a mother who taught you what the correct things were. And that mother took many forms. Maybe it was a grandmother, maybe it was an auntie, maybe it was your uncle even. But you were taught, And so the idea is that if this speaks to you, what is happening here really speaks to you, then Cope with Hope is Dylan's organization. So Google that. Just Google it. Cope with Hope. You'll find it. If not, you're welcome to you find our account details anywhere on our platforms. And if you make a deposit for them, if you want to support them financially, then you just put in the, what you call that little thing? Now, man, in the Cope with Hope. Just put in there Cope with Hope in the reference. Isn't that what you call it? Reference. In the reference, Cope with Hope. Cope with Hope. Really, really. This is not an appeal. And I'm not begging you. I'm telling you. It's needed. There's important stuff that needs to happen here. If you call yourself a citizen of this country, then if you care about your fellow citizens, then here is something you can get involved in. Here is something, if you have the time and if you have the capacity, get involved. What Dylan needs here is support. He needs resources. He needs openings for the people here. I'm really, really well. How are you guys? You're all live all over my Facebook. Okay. Just
I ate my last 2 tomatoes this morning. I ate my last 2 tomatoes.
Oh, my sweetheart, we just brought a couple more just to tide you over again. Yeah, I'm so
Thanks,
Soli. Ja, met nou foto's vat. Niemand het 'n mask en ek kan nie foto's vat met mense sonder mask. This young man has got a mask on. You won't grab his mask. Julle moet terug van my af staan sonder mask. Staan terug van my af. Ek mag nie. I'm not allowed to get sick and I'm not allowed to make anyone sick. I like your mask, guy. Lekker mask, say.
Soli, you say you work there.
Oh, sweetie, I'm glad you enjoyed the tomatoes.
Soli, this guy.
Yeah, it was given with love, and I'm glad you loved it.
Soli, you work there by your
You work there by your garden,
Anwar, when I was living in,
Yes.
but where in Cape Town?
Was close to Kimsburg.
Oh, you mean when I was living in University Estate?
Yes.
Up at the top, up at the,
That's
okay.
my man, my husband.
Oh, you know.
Yes, he working for you.
Okay, oh, we heard that. It's your man. We heard that, honey. We heard that. You're not mask. Okay, listen, I'm not organizing a mask for you guys. When I come here, you have to have a mask on. Otherwise, I am in the deepest trouble.
Where's your colleagues?
My colleagues are over here. This is Brent. This is Shaz, who's actually runs the whole thing.
Come out.
Ek help and smile in the
Look
room.
after that thing that I said to you guys.
You know
The
what?
working stuff.
With the Dangasa?
Yeah. So then I get school for my child.
You didn't get?
Get school for my child. She was there at school, no?
Yeah.
And
Intubatel.
they said that the child wasn't 3 months, but it wasn't, is the lie. Because the child was sick for 2 weeks, she wasn't in school. So I must go to the Department of Education again. I don't have money, I don't work. I don't work and stuff like that.
Alright, sweetie, can I ask you this?
I must.
Jy ken mos nou vir Dylan.
Yes, ek kan
Wil
dit
you-
doen,
wil
maar
you-
ek het die phone, ek het niks geld om. Ek en my man werk.
She don't work.
Okay, now I get it.
But the
So let me say
the
this.
principal sent her home today
Yes.
to say she stay out of school for 3
For
months.
3 months, I don't
So I said, no,
know.
that is
It's a
not
lie
right.
because sy was vir 2 weke met tonsils. Sy was vir
Wat sê
2
dit?
weke met tonsils.
So you
That
can
is
help-
vir hulle
you must please help
So I'm
them.
going to ask you to speak to Dylan about it, just brief him with the whole thing, and then he'll speak to me about it, and then we'll see what we can do.
Okay.
You know, sometimes it's a phone call, you never know, but we'll start trying to
Soli,
see
nice
and
to
find
meet you
it.
in real
It's
life.
nice to meet you. Klein little mask on, Nala. Ek staan hier so met klein hier. True, I'm not laughing. Weer af mask mense kan Nala, kyk hoe mooi lekker anti-mly mask. Kyk nou daar
Sy
so.
lyk mooi met haar masker.
Mos, dan sê ek nou, 'n mask kan ek ook wees. Ek kan ook wees op pad. All right, you guys. Okay, we have to, in the meantime, get over on that side to offload.
This knows that I told them. You know how rude that lady was? He's what she said. And cried. Ask that lady.
If you have that.
It is what it is.
best is this one. Bowls are probably going to be the best. Masks, canola. Of a nappy, of anything, but please have something across your face. I cannot fail nappy with this, I don't. It's really up to you. But you... man, so serious, get it from man. Praat nonsense, but you must have a mask. Please, canola. Masks, ammo.
Maar mijn aandacht also, alsjeblieft, wel een extra.
All right.
Zal ik waarderen, zullen mij kan helpen?
We're gonna write the details down. Just the name and the details.
All right. So we're gonna head back to the we're gonna head back to Susie quickly because we got a couple of, you know, they are almost Chip Dillon's our champion. This then is part of our network of communities, and our commitment to them is super regularly Shaz, Nick. Super regularly Shaz, and they're also in the network of any of the parties that might come up in the future. But then, of course, Dylan also gets to engage with us around any ways in which we can support him and this community. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Die Gatjie, it's called, and it's in Diep River. Right here in the deep south. In the deep south, we're in the deep south. The deep south, we're in the deep south. Guys, this is a clone. This is a clone. So can you say that's oh, lovely sky there. Ooh. Yeah. Me since now, and Mike at the gate. Hey, Mike.
Hey, bro. Mike.
Okay, no, I seen it. I seen it.
The younger one.
All right. Okay. So a little mini tomato party. A couple of crates of tomatoes, and then a couple of bags of soup. Yeah. That's it, yeah. A mini tomato party and consolidating of relationships. Our champion here in Die Gatjie, Dylan Graham.